Guys, welcome back to Mitti channel. It has been a very long break. Uh, Again, I know I have said this so many times, but as a new YouTuber, I still haven't grasped the concept that I need to be making content every time. Me to the topic of today's video is the day-to-day life at Mitti. I'll also be introducing you guys to my team members who are Vandana and Shubhi. This video is going to be fairly simple, uh, quite a chatty video where we are just talking about what happens at the studio. Um, what has our journey been up till now, and how do we deal with teaching and just keeping the studio up and running. There will be more videos coming up in future where it will be either three of us or two of us talking, while this video is quite generic. The other videos are going to be much more topical, and where we might just pick up a very random topic or a random technique and just talk about it. But this video is just a very general welcome to Team Mitti and see what we are up to. And yeah, I'm very excited for this video. I hope you guys like the video. Really excited to share it with you guys. I hope you guys like it, and if you do, you know what to do. You need to subscribe and press the like button. Thank you. Okay. Hi guys, this is Kosha from Mitti. That's Vandana and that's Shubhi. Vandana has been working at Mitti since 2023 now, and Shubhi has joined since May 24. Okay, let's start with Vandu. Vandu, if you can describe your journey, how it started at Mitti, and what have you been doing past these years, your experience being at Mitti.
Okay, sure. Uh, so, in a very classic manner of being a burnt out corporate employee, I quit my job in 2022 with no plans whatsoever, just wanting to kind of take a break. The only thing I knew for sure was that I never wanted to go back to a corporate job and I wanted to learn a new skill. So it was a very close tie between pottery and woodworking, and your pottery studio just happened to be closer than the woodworking place, and I just came here, and then I never left. That is the gist of the story. And yeah, it has been such a wonderful experience learning how to make things using clay, learning different techniques, teaching, experimenting, continuing the journey of, uh, you know, I feel like when you are practicing a craft, your learning never really stops. So, yeah, last 2 years have just been like being a student again, but without the teacher giving me assignments. The studio life is fairly simple, I think. We come to the studio, we order coffee, then we teach, then we order food.
Toast for providing us good coffee from Nandan.
Yeah, so we order lunch, then we teach some more, then we do our own things, then we go back home and start over again. So, yeah, it's 7 days a week. That's it.
Just 7 days a week. Only
Just
7
7 days a week. On to you now, Shubhi.
I think Vandu and I kind of started at a similar note. Uh, Burnt out completely when asked, resigned from the job and asked, what do you want to do? I just said, मैं pottery करूँगी. And I had plans of going back to work in probably 3 months or max 6 months. But then there was something, when I started practicing pottery regularly, there was something that made me believe in myself, and which I had not felt in those years of a corporate job, or that much in my adult life, because it just seems like a racket now. But yeah, pottery gave me a lot of freedom and also a way of life. And it's been just going on. People ask me for my plan of action. I don't have a plan of action. I am completely into pottery, learning. There is so much, people, there is so much to learn. And I think one thing that I want to say is that, not every skill is learned to monetize. There's a lot beyond that. And I think that that's something that we all need in the times that we are living in. So yeah, it's really given me a fresh perspective into myself. I'm very happy with doing pottery. Coming to Mitti. Coming to Mitti is one exciting part of the day. You come here, you say hi to all the cats on the way. Then you come and then you find Silky. And then definitely your morning starts with students. You see what you need to tell them or whatever work you need to do. Then as the day goes by, you squeeze in time for yourself. We all, somewhere, whatever bits of time we get, we try to work on our pieces, ideate on what we want to do. And yeah, the day goes by teaching people, learning new things, and also in eating a lot of food, good food, and coffee. And yeah, something that I really, really like about coming to the studio is that you always have like such a different bunch of people who are so different from each other, and then how the conversations flow. And sometimes the conversations are like, they are very like, they're liberating, they're good conversations. So that also is a very good part of the day.
So you started Mitti back in November of 2021, right? It's been 3 years. Uh, I have been like here for almost 2 years of it, but you have handled it through some really like the when you are kind of creating a building, the person who ends up building the foundation of it has actually done majority of work. I came in when most things were already settled. There was a flow to how things worked at the studio. Certain things were, I mean, we obviously switched inside outside things, we introduced newer things, but you had already done all the heavy lifting. It's your studio after all. So during that time that I haven't witnessed, neither has Shubhi, um, what was the highlight of the time? Uh, what was also like the most difficult thing of that time? And yeah, now how do you look back on it?
When I started Mitti, so the inside space that everyone sees right now, which is now a pottery space, it was meant to be a co-working space, and it was a co-working space for almost a year. And then, of course, we saw a major decline in people trying to come in and work for in the co-working space, and that's how we decided to make it into a pottery space. Um, it's been a beautiful journey, very hardworking journey. I think the highlight of all of these 3 years is that so for me, more than pottery, also, for me, teaching is a passion. I love teaching. I love guiding people. I like to think that I am a part of their journey and who has helped them, even if just by 0.1%, to reach somewhere that they wanted to reach. Um, and then, of course, I've always been an artist, so creating comes to me like second nature. So I have never felt, except for this place, like except for the other jobs, I've never felt over here that oh shit, tomorrow I'll have to go, and I'm waiting for the weekends. I wish I could take a break. I never really feel like taking break from Mitti because Mitti is my break. I like to come here. I like to have my morning ritual where I come in, I call for a coffee for myself. I look around the space, and sometimes I have to pinch myself that I created this, and it's just a very beautiful feeling when you have a space of your own. And then once everyone starts coming in, I like to share this space with other people, and I really like the fact that people think of this space as a safe haven. They There are students who literally miss Mitti when they are traveling. So that's a beautiful part, and that would be the highlight of my whole journey, is that people think of this as a place that they want to be in. Before you guys came in, I think the highlight and the struggle both were time. Um, the highlight was that I was in a job where I loved going, and I did not think twice of spending more time over there. I never had to, I never felt the need to take a break or just feel tired. I was always very pumped up to come. And again, it's the same thing, which also was very much hard work, is because I was the only person who was handling the whole space. So I would be working nonstop from 10 till 8. I would have student batches which would start from 10 to 12, 12 to 2, 2 to 4, 4 to 6, 6 to 8. I would not even stop to have lunch. Um, and yeah, I think that is one part which I think Vandana has seen a little bit of it. But I don't think so. Shubhi has seen that part. Um, Now it feels much more smoother after both of you have joined. I Earlier I could not even think of taking a holiday because I would be so worried what who will take care of the students. And also you also want students to get done so that you can take on more students, because whether you like it or not, there is a financial side to running a studio, um, which is not a very pretty side, but it is a very very essential side. At the end of the month you have to pay your bills, you have to take care of things, and it used to feel very overwhelming sometimes, because running a pottery studio is not just creating or teaching. There are so many logistics to take care of. There are so many tiny tiny things, like, there's no drinking water, we need to refill water. Okay, I have to start the kiln today, I need to shut the lid of the kiln today. Oh, the clay is over, now I need to call for some clay. uh, Glazes, reclaiming, it's a never ending thing. So of course, when I was just by myself, yes, I had lesser students, so it wasn't so much, but it would still be just me and no one else. But after you guys joining, at least now I know that okay, I can delegate things, and I can kind of also now concentrate on maybe focusing more on social media. You have to make content for social media, you have to put out the word, you need to engage with people. Like, even when you are promoting your ads, there are 100 messages coming in. Vandu, when you started learning and you joined Mitti, you joined as a person who would help me around the studio, and then of course dheere dheere you also started teaching the students, which I know was never a part of your plan. uh, but it just happened to be because that was the need at Mitti. um, how What do you think about it? What are the difficulties that you face when you have to teach students, and also what is a thing that you really like about teaching?
I don't like the idea of spending too much time teaching because I'm too um, I have so many things I want to still learn and do that obviously teaching sometimes it eats up into what I hope to do instead, right? It eats up my time. Uh, but the thing is, I used to dream about teaching kids, right? I adore kids. I adore the the opportunity to be able to impart maybe not just knowledge but whatever knowledge I have. I don't fancy myself as somebody with a lot of experience, with a lot of knowledge, a lot of wisdom. I am not. But I do think that I have a certain approach to teaching, which is I like to share everything I know. I enjoy teaching purely because I enjoy working with clay. I love clay, so I have no problem talking about clay, sharing what I know about clay, geeking out about clay, wanting to help people when they have a vision for something they want to make. So, in that sense, teaching can be extremely gratifying. Most of our students are women. I think we've only had two men who have come to learn pottery. It's just so many women, and it's so much fun. And yeah, it's basically like this massive club that we are a part of, where we just learn new things and share those new things. It doesn't even feel like teaching. So but that's what I like about it. Yeah. And like I said, what I don't like about it is some days you just don't get the either time to work on your pieces, or sometimes you're so exhausted with the constant social interaction that you don't have the energy to work on your pieces. So that can be the exhausting. Yes, there are a lot of students who, again, there are few things that set students apart more than anything. One is obviously everybody has a certain capacity to learn. Okay. um, Not everybody has the same pace of learning, and sometimes it can feel like you are not doing enough as a teacher. Like sometimes you meet students whose graph seems to stagger very quickly, like they don't really learn in a very like how you hope for them to learn. But I think we have spent enough time here to kind of understand that we are really trying our best to help people in their journeys, and sometimes people just take time.
Okay, so should be the same thing. I think when you started learning pottery, um, I don't think so you ever intended to teach, and you have worked at a different pottery studio before Mitti also, where you had to teach even bigger groups than Mitti, I would say. Uh, how has your experience been? I would also like to know the difference between handling bigger groups compared to usually over here we have students either one to one or maximum two students, because we also try to give as much personal attention that we can to every student, because we do understand that this is a hands on skill, so you need to guide them much better. uh, but yeah, what has your experience been in terms of teaching and just guiding people?
I like there were multiple times in my career where I contemplated that maybe I could switch to academics, and I think that was probably with the thought of, again, I was trying to run away. But since I've been teaching pottery or helping people with pottery, uh, I've realized how it's meaningful, because again, like we spoke, the kind of age range that people come, they're already grown up, so you can't really like transform them, but it's the joy of sharing those hacks and tips that have worked for you, and the moment that works for somebody, or you're looking at them and you get it, okay, they're struggling, and they're just not able to tell you. To catch all of that is yeah, it's a good feeling. It also, I think, for me personally, this is the first time that I am geeking out over something so much that I would, I don't feel underconfident talking about clay. I don't feel overconfident about clay. But I'm also like that, okay, I can do this, and this is what I'm hoping to learn, or this is all I have to do. So, feeling all these emotions is good. It makes you feel more natural uh, as a human being. So that's been good for me. And yeah, like some days you're just like, Arey, I've not gotten time to make something of my own or whatever I wanted to do. But most of the days, when you're able to help out, and somebody, and even for our one-time sessions, when people are sweet, like they're lovely, they love the experience, and they don't hesitate from sharing that how much they loved it, and they're so thankful. They come here for their special days, and the way they thank you for just being part of their life or their celebration for those 2 hours, where for us, because we know the skill, it's a very simple thing, but for them it means a world. So yeah, a lot of plus points. uh, Coming to the other question of the difference handling bigger groups, uh, I just feel that वो जो gratification that you get in guiding somebody, bigger group में it sometimes gets lost, because you're more about, okay, you have to get this done now, uh, because making a piece can really take any amount of time. Like, I might just make this little bowl in 5 minutes, but I know there is somebody who is going to take like 20-25 minutes, because again, everybody's level of perfection, at what their level they want perfection and all, differs. So yeah, when you're in smaller groups, it gives you time to give that kind of attention, and the results show.
You have taught a lot of students up until now, है ना?
Yeah.
काफी students आए हैं, काफी students गए हैं. I want you to give me a little bit of rundown of who makes an ideal student for you, and who are the students, not naming names, but what kind of students you just can't stand.
I think an ideal student, which by the way is 95% of the people who've come here, is people who are like sponges. They have come over here they to learn something, and they just drink up every knowledge that you give them. And almost everyone has always been the kind of person who is very good at following instructions, taking it through. Yes, some people are fast, some people are slow. That's fine, but again, it's also what you said, right? Like, they have reached at an age where, as kids it's much more easier, and you're much more open to taking instructions. But when you have crossed a certain age limit, you you become resistant to instructions. Especially like when I teach people who are elder than me, there is a certain bit of resistance in the start, because there is, maybe they're not thinking about it consciously, but subconsciously, it's like, oh, someone who's younger than me is telling me what to do. uh, but again, that resistance kind of goes away after a class or two, because if you have signed up for a course, you have signed up to learn something, so you will end up learning something. So I think a person who is just open to instruction is an ideal student, which I feel every student has been up till now. Um, Not an ideal student would be the same person who's not taking instructions, right? Or rather, I think people who do not trust the process. If your tutor is telling you, you know what, right now, just do this step, it might look very alien right now, but I just trust the process, and whatever that you are envisioning, by the end of it you will reach there, but you need to trust what is happening right now, and you need to follow step 1 to reach the destination of step 10. But there are people who want to just directly jump onto the final destination, and that doesn't happen. And that is where they get crestfallen and they don't really think pottery is for them.
How do you feel, or what's your reaction to when somebody has come for a beginner's course, but they've come with a motive of having their own studio? How do you deal with it? What's your process with it?
I think the best thing about clay is that it shows you the mirror. Even I don't need to do that. People who try to hurry the process, clay just turns around and says, let me show you what process is. There is no way in hurrying it. If you try to do it, you know you're going to just mess it up. People who think that they want to make a business out of it, when they come, they do the course, they see the running of the studio, they start understanding how difficult it is. Pottery is not as glam as Instagram makes it. It's not a 30-second reel where, oh, I've made a pot and look, now I'm posing next to it. It's a lot much more. Making is just small tip of iceberg that you see on top of the water. After that, there's a lot of stuff to be done. um so I think they get a reality check very soon. Yeah, even the reason why I have coiling as the first technique is because they to teach them patience, because coiling tests your patience and how, and it also makes you it acquaints you much better with
How much has social media made your life difficult as a teacher? Because definitely reels, and we see people coming in with an idea of art. Yes, they want to make their pottery Pinterest perfect, or okay, it is on days therapeutic, but the first word that we hear from people walking in, that this is so therapeutic. And yeah, so how has social media, sticking to the original question, how much difficult has social media made your life?
I detest social media for making it so beautiful and make it look so glamorous, but I also thank social media for making pottery so visible to people. People did not know of it as an art form for the longest time in India. For us, pottery kumbhar karte hai. It's not something that you take ahead as a profession. It was a very gate kept art form. Only the fine artist would kind of explore, and only they knew where can you really learn pottery. Otherwise, it was not an art form that was taught to everyone. So that way, I'm really thankful for social media to making it much more visible to people. But the way that it is visible to people is something that I'm not a fan of. You see a potter working on a piece which is a time lapse video of, let's say, of 30 seconds, but what they don't realize is that that 30 seconds is a compilation of days, sometimes months. um, there are things that do not come out what you envision, even as a professional potter, forget as a beginner. So many times there are so many breakages that happen. There are so many things that can go wrong with pottery. Your glaze doesn't come out well, your kiln stops working, or your kiln has um, high fired your pieces, or it is under fired, or cracks. Oh my god, cracks. It cracks like cracks and ceramics go so hand in hand. So it's that reality check is something that every student gets. And But yeah, social media doesn't show you those cracked pieces. Social media does not show you the heartbreak that happens after the therapy. So
The therapy you need after.
yeah, you need therapy after that for that heartbreak. You see what you choose to see, right? If I want to see only the pretty picture, I'll just see the pretty picture.
So Kosha, there is a certain curriculum we follow for our beginner student and then our advanced student and then our long-term students. Um, why did we design the curriculum the way we designed? And what do you think is the good part of it? And how students actually benefit from learning it that way?
Okay, so for people who do not know the curriculum of our beginners course, we basically teach 4 techniques of pottery: coiling, slab, nerikomi, and the potter's wheel. Um, the beginners course is designed in a way where you are getting introduced to clay as a medium, as and pottery as an art form. Yes, it's not a course that, oh, I've done my beginners course and now I'm ready to go. I will start making pieces and I will start selling them. No, not really. You need to go on to advanced level and even learn much more nitty-gritties of it. uh, the curriculum is designed in a way where they are first introduced to coiling as a technique first, because coiling, which as I said earlier also, yes, it tests your patience, but it's also such a beautiful technique. It's a technique which allows you to create literally anything and everything. It's a very versatile technique, and you don't really need to wedge your clay for it. You just take a lump of clay and just start, and whatever that you envision, if you have the patience, it's very easy to create. And it's also an introduction to clay. From that level, you start understanding the consistency of your clay, you start understanding how fast it dries or slow it dries, or what you need to take care that it's not going to crack open, how important it is to sponge your piece, etc.
How to maintain the thickness,
Correct.
all the basics of
Yeah.
working with clay you really get.
Yeah. So then we go on to slab technique, which by the way is my most favorite technique. uh, After you have been introduced to clay in the first technique, second technique is where now you will learn how to wedge the clay. um, how do you make it more malleable? How do you make sure you are wedging it in a way that there are no air gaps? Students are introduced to the perils of having air gaps in your clay. um, what kind of consistency works for each and every technique, and then how you start shaping your clay, where coil gives you a freedom of making whatever shape that you want, because a coil technically is a rope and you can place the rope in whichever shape you want. Slab will kind of um,
Hold its shape. It's a lot
it
more.
holds its shape, and it also has a certain difficulty when you have to kind of mold it. So then it also starts to get you thinking that what can I create with it, and you start problem solving over there. That, because in the end also, when you have to create a piece, you need to understand which technique will be the best for it. Technically, any piece in pottery that you see can be created with either of these techniques, but which one will make your life much more easier is what you need to select. um, so slab gives you that knowledge of how to start uh, problem solving with clay. And then we have nerikomi. Nerikomi is honestly a very fun technique. it's so it's so nice to see when students, squeal in glee that when the pattern is kind of revealed when you pick up the fabric. Nerikomi, by the way, is working with different colored clays and you build patterns with it. Just the whole um, procedure of adding color to the clay and then understanding how will we build this pattern and how do we build it into a piece. It's a beautiful process. And then the fourth is, of course, the potter's wheel. The reason why we've kept wheel as the last technique is because whether we like it or not, wheel is one of difficult techniques of pottery. It is a technique which cannot be learned in just a day or even 10 days. Yeah, it takes quite a while, and in order to advance to wheel, you need to be very well acquainted with clay. You need to understand your medium before you go on to the wheel. As a person who is working with stoneware, if either of us now sit on the wheel with, let's say, even porcelain, it will take us a little time to really get good with it, because you need to understand your medium before you start creating with it. So that's the reason why wheel is the last technique. And this is something that we are also very clear with the students that you're not going to learn wheel in this one session itself. We are not telling you that, oh, beginners course mein aap sab kuch seekh gaye ho. It's an introduction. It's like we are teaching you the alphabet, but you still need to learn your syntax, you need to learn your grammar, the how to form sentences, and so on. And then, of course, advanced level differs for everyone. There are some people who like to take hand building technique ahead in advance. There are some people who like to take the wheel in advance. So it differs from person to person and what they want to create and where eventually do they want to take pottery ahead in their life.
One of the observations that I've in general had about curriculums, hearing from my friends, having my own experience, what I feel about the curriculum that we follow at Mitti, that like how you spoke, that knowing your material is very important. So the process that we follow here, it really well acquaintances with you with the material, and even so, like how you broadly told that what are the techniques we follow, but even in those techniques there's a lot of subcontext that is taught, and that's extremely helpful. These are also your kind of tips and hacks that we give, tell to people, and I'm sure the other potters who've been in pottery for really long, they are doing. But with a lot of new studios, something which I've heard is, or I've seen, is they don't have a curriculum. It's an art form, and people are trying some, they they're using it as a skill. So I think that becomes very important, because pottery is again also a lot about self discovery. How you kind of you do your things own way. So whatever we can from our side, give the students, we try to do that, and I think our curriculum really helps us with that.
Yeah, I think that is something that I really enjoy about this place. In terms of, like, when I learned from you, also when we teach, how the focus is always on making the person capable of doing this on their own, right? It's never about acha aisa karo, like giving instructions ki acha if you do this you will be able to make this. Like, we have to go a little further than that and kind of get them to understand why they need to do all of those things, so that when, or if they decide to take this ahead, if they decide that they want to go back home, get a bag of clay, start making, they should know. They should just know why they are doing and what they're doing and how they can make it better, and it is about empowering with them with those tools to be able to make whatever they feel like making. So yeah, in that way, great curriculum, Kosha.